So we're going to talk about why, for the people who worked so hard, we need people who worked so hard in 2018 and 2020 to work just as hard in 2021 and 2022. Why we need people to be just as engaged as they were when Donald Trump was walking around the White House coughing on people. So joining me to help explain the stakes of this election is Crooked Media's own Shaniqua Mcclendon, the woman behind the No Off Years campaign.
Hello, everyone.
All right, Shaniqua, what do you say to people who say, I knocked on doors, I wrote postcards because Donald Trump was president, but now Joe Biden's president and everything's totally fine and great?
Everything is not totally fine and great. Okay, gonna use a little analogy here about smoke and fire. Donald Trump was a fire, but the smoke is still... Actually, Dan wrote a whole book on this about like Trump and Trumpism, untrumping America. And, you know, everyone was in a tizzy because Donald Trump was president and we wanted to get rid of him. So he's the fire. We got rid of him. But smoke kills people too. It just does it a lot slower. And so we have to be concerned about that. And we have to figure out like where the fire is so we can put that out and get rid of the smoke. So that's why we have to care. And to put this in more plain terms, you know, all of the things that really got us involved and engaged in 17, 18, 19, and 20 are all the same things that we need to be concerned about now. Trump is gone, but on January 6th, after he was already, you know, I guess that was his like 15 days before he was going to be out of office, we saw a bunch of people storm the Capitol. And even since then, we've seen a lot of his SCOTUS appointments, or all of his SCOTUS appointments, and Supreme Court appointments and other judicial appointments really kind of giddy to get rid of access to abortion, upholding a lot of laws that have pushed voter suppression. And even at the state level, we've seen like crazy Republicans just kind of pushing some of the craziest bills we've ever seen. And that's because now Donald Trump is kind of who they look to for the kinds of things that they should be doing. And if we just kind of sit back and let that happen, things are going to get worse. And the final thing I'll add, which is part of why we created the No Off Years program, is we can't think that we're only supposed to be engaged and involved when elections come around. That's how we got Trump to begin with, because everyone was kind of okay with the way things are. And so that's why we have to keep paying attention and keep being involved. You know, all the postcards, knocking on doors is great, but we have to be involved year round. And if not, things are going to get bad. So that's why we need everyone to participate. And, you know, I'm really excited to see the money coming in for No Off Years. So if you go to crooked.com/No Off Years and donate, that will help us get money to a lot of the swing states who are registering voters and who are engaging voters year round, so that, yeah, we don't wake up next year on election day the way we felt in 2016.
Donate to No Off Years, because things could always get worse. All right, Shaniqua, let's be specific about the threats we face. So help explain to people watching today what would happen if the Republicans won enough seats to take the majority in the House.
So literally, Nancy Pelosi would not be speaker anymore. She would have to hand her gavel over to Kevin McCarthy. And, you know, he is not really interested in governing. He just wants to keep the crazies happy so he can stay in power. So he would essentially be giving power over to Jim Jordan, Representative Gosar, and, you know, Marjorie Greene Taylor, and just kind of let them dictate what's happening in the House. And then that means they'll also start repealing all the things that Democrats have been working on over the past 2 years. The child tax credit that has helped lift a ton of children out of poverty. And also, if we end up, hopefully, fingers crossed, passing Build Back Better, a lot of the provisions that are in there, Republicans will immediately try to repeal those. And then on top of all the policies, they'll, of course, try to impeach Joe Biden. You know, I think there were real reasons to impeach Donald Trump twice, but they'll find anything, you know, frivolous to try to impeach Joe Biden. And the other thing I would just add is, in addition to getting rid of things Democrats have done, we'll also start seeing a lot of the stuff that's coming up in state legislatures actually start making it through the House. Right now, those things can't even get a vote because Nancy Pelosi is speaker. But once McCarthy is in charge and kind of dictating what comes to the floor, then, you know, more restrictive access to abortion, worse voter suppression laws will be things that are passing through the House and landing in the Senate. And, you know, hopefully nothing happens there in the Senate. But
so in other words, we would be handing over 1/6 of our government to a group of very stupid, kind of crazy people who would do bad shit.
Yeah, pretty much.
Excellent.
You're summarizing everything so succinctly.
Excellent. But there is one specific threat that with the Republican House that we don't talk about enough, which is what would happen if the Republicans in control of the House after the votes are cast in the 2024 election? What specific threat would that have?
Yeah, so we were really fortunate in 2020 that in 2018, a ton of people put in a ton of work and were able to get Democrats elected. You know, we called it a blue wave. We were able to take control of the House, which is really important because the House certifies the Electoral College votes, which if Republicans had been in charge, about two-thirds of them voted against certifying the election. So if they had the majority, the election wouldn't have been certified, and they would have, kind of pushed through their attempt to overturn the election. And so, everyone got really engaged in 2018 and we were able to flip the House. But if we, instead of seeing a blue wave or even just holding on to the majority next year and we see a red wave, Republicans will actually have the power to, overturn election results that they don't like in 2024.
We obviously have a very narrow margin in the House. We have no margin in the Senate. What are the odds that we can keep our Senate majority next year?
Actually, better than the House. All the states that no Democrat is running to defend a seat in a state that Trump won last year. So that's good. But the 4 states where we have 4 states where they're extremely competitive races. So that's Arizona, Georgia, New Hampshire, and Nevada. We have to keep those seats. I don't think there's a world in which we lose any of those and we maintain our majority in the Senate. But there's other states where we actually have an opportunity as well. North Carolina, which hopefully we don't have any more Cal Cunningham situations there. Wisconsin, Florida, where Marco Rubio is senator, and then maybe even Ohio, which Dan does not agree with me on, but it's okay.
Okay, we'll bring all of our Slack conversations to the live stream. Seems cool.
That was from an in-person meeting.
Okay, since we're going to try to end on a positive note here, it's not just that we can keep the Senate. Could we even expand our Senate by maybe 2 seats and then maybe be able to make a promise to everyone that we will never, ever mention Joe Manchin or Kyrsten Sinema again?
If we get those 2, then yes, we can make that promise to people. Although,
if that's not a reason to give to this fund, I do not know what is.
Yeah. I mean, don't you never want to hear about 2 people who definitely don't represent the interests of most of the country, but specifically Kyrsten Sinema doesn't seem to be representing most of the interests of her constituents. So yeah, not having to bend over backwards for them to piss us off all the time. I'm not going to go on my whole soapbox about them too, but if we can get rid of them, we don't have to talk about them anymore. We can actually start passing more progressive policies out of the Senate. So that alone, if you don't want to see, another curtsy thumbs down on raising the minimum wage or hear about Joe Manchin and his boat, then, just donate some money to the No Off Years Fund at crooked.com/no off years. And right now we're raising money to get voters registered in 6 states that will have a tremendous impact on us keeping the Senate, but also where registering new voters will actually make a difference. These are states where the margins in 2020 were pretty close, and there's a significant number of unregistered voters that can make the difference next year.
Before we go, any other races below House and Senate that people should be focused on and that the No Off Years Fund will be helping?
Yes. So there are so many important races that are not happening at the federal level. First, governor's races. In Michigan, Kansas, and Wisconsin, Democratic governors are the last line of defense against Republican-led legislatures, from passing maps to, voter suppression laws and anti-abortion laws. Governors are able to veto these laws and protect us from, just the crazy things Republicans want to do. And then specifically thinking about Georgia last year, I know we don't want to put him on a pedestal, but having a halfway decent Secretary of State in Georgia allowed for Trump not to push through and get the election overturned there. And so Secretary of State elections and local election official elections are going to be really important for us to pay attention to, because they will ultimately in 2024 either help Republicans overturn election results they don't like, or be the protection we have against them being able to do that.
Because repetition is the key to good messaging. You say one more time where people can donate and where that money will go.
crooked.com/no off years, and it will go to help grassroots organizers in the states where we can that will have the biggest impact on us keeping the Senate and expanding our margin there, and hopefully keeping the House as well, but also keeping governors in office and building a good foundation for 2024.